Hi, I'm Molly.
And I'm Jamie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast. As the owners of Hired Hand website software, we've been developing websites and creating internet marketing strategies for livestock breeders for the past 10 years.
The majority of our customers are involved in the breeding of registered animals, such as Texas Longhorns, Highland cattle, horses, and white-tailed deer, where the pedigrees are very important. The From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast examines many of the differences in raising pedigreed livestock for maximum profit. Join us and learn what we're covering today.
Today, my guests are joining me all the way from Kremlin, Montana. I'd like to welcome Lin, Taryn, and Emma Torgerson with Lodge Creek Longhorns. Thank you all for joining me.
Thank you.
Why don't you start by introducing yourselves and maybe just say a little bit about the role that you play in the Longhorn program?
So I'm their dad. We kind of accidentally got into Longhorns, and we'll get into it a little bit, but they're getting into the Longhorns at this point now too, and it's been definitely a family affair, and we've had our ups and downs, and we've had a few accidents here and there, but we're all still here.
Taryn, what part do you play, or what's your favorite thing to do with the Longhorns?
I just like looking at them, and they're just really cool to look at, and they're pretty.
What about you, Emma?
I like the variations in the horn sizes, and every Longhorn doesn't even look like the next.
What's your favorite horn shape or horn variation?
Twisty, 3 twists. It's hard to come by, but it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, Lin, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you all got started in Longhorns?
So I'm fourth generation. These girls are fifth. It's kind of a long story as far as livestock. So I didn't grow up with livestock. I didn't have any. We grew up with horses in the mountains. Glacier Park, Bob Marshall, hunting here and there, and I've always loved Longhorns and always wanted some. And then in 2010, I had a place situated, and the horses didn't have a job. So I thought, horses are a lot happier with a job. So I decided to sell the horses and try a Longhorn. And it was a fairly steep curve learning to begin with.
So do you have a lot of neighbors around you that have land and stuff? Did they kind of look at you like you were crazy when you said, yep, I'm going to get Longhorns in Montana?
Yeah, I'm definitely the outcast, the black sheep. There's very few Longhorns, very few horn cattle, period. I mean, it's all looked at as just roping cattle up here.
So with that learning curve, were there other breeders that you turned to help you with that? Or was it just kind of trial and error? Tell me a little bit about that process.
So, you jump on Craigslist and you're looking at Longhorns. I probably, of course, we're talking about 2010. You guys, I don't think were running websites then and making it easier for us. But I got on Craigslist, found a Longhorn, and ended up buying it. That was a total disaster. She was rather aggressive. So we that was my first step. The second, after that, I really still wanted some, and ended up getting on the internet and starting to do some more homework, and that's how we ended up with the first handful anyway.
So how old were the girls at that time?
Not born.
Not born. So what are your first memories of the Longhorns? Did you used to go ride around in the pasture with your dad, or tell me a little bit about that?
We've lived on a farm with, ever since we can remember, we've been around Longhorns. So I was pretty comfortable with Longhorns until I got flipped over by one.
Oh no, that sounds like a story. Do you want to share?
Well, I was kind of 5, and there was a new mom, and she had a calf, and I was climbing over the fence, and she was mad, and she flipped me over.
Were you okay?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I kind of started crying just because of all that happened.
It was just a young cow. It was a 2-year-old first calf heifer.
Yeah. When I was little, we had Longhorns. I don't remember how old I was. I was definitely older. You said you were 5 when that happened?
Yeah.
I was definitely older than 5, but I had something similar happen. And then my parents never let me go back out in that pasture without a bucket. They said if I swung the bucket, that wouldn't happen. I'm not sure how solid their logic was at the time, but it's definitely something you remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Emma? Or Taryn, do you remember your first experience with the Longhorns?
No, not really. I just follow my dad in the pasture when we go out to look at them, and we always hang on to his pocket, his back pocket, and we would hang on to it and walk with him, and then because we were scared of them because if they had their calves, they were really aggressive. So,
Yeah.
and we were always like super scared. Just and so then we just hung on to his pocket. So yeah,
You just have to respect them, right? You have to give them
yeah,
their space when they have those babies.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
What about,
traveling around, the big difference up here is, it's big acres. We don't have the grass like the Midwest, and in the South, it seems like a lot smaller, you know, pens and pastures, and it. We have a lot of predators up here. So I found that my Longhorns are rather aggressive compared to some of the ones down south, just due to predation. They're just constantly have to be on the lookout.
that makes sense. Talk to me a little bit about the weather and the struggles that probably imposes on you every winter.
So that's our biggest issue up here. This year's my worst year. One of my biggest cows froze both of her horns. One will fall off here in about a month or two, and the other one's drooping pretty heavy. A soon to be 90-inch cow, unfortunately. The weanlings are a huge problem. I just keep building solid fence to try to keep the wind out. But in January we had 3 nights of 77 to 80 below wind chills, and we can't do enough to keep them out of the wind. So that's been our hands down our number one problem. So hopefully, I've pulled the trigger, and we're actually moving here pretty soon, and I'm going to build a huge barn, and the plan is to keep at least the weanlings inside majority of the hard part of the winter. The snow Longhorns they're an amazing creature. They've adapted so well. They'll adapt to anything. So the snow is really not an issue. It's just simply wind chills, and we do hit 50 below, regular, without wind chill every winter up here. So that's our number one issue, hands down. So we've built up as much as we can. We can't build any more, so I'm gonna build a new facility.
And how many head are you running now? How many yearlings will that be that you're building the barn for?
Well, we're in the midst of growing back. There was a time that I came close to selling out, and now I'm moving forward with a specific genetic, and so we're building back. So I'll be having, we'll have about 30, low 30s with bulls this summer. So we're having 25 to 30 calves, and we're just going to keep growing till we find a place that we're all comfortable.
What are some of the genetics that you're breeding now, and how are they maybe different from 10 years ago? How has your program kind of progressed in that way?
Well, Longhorn bulls, they're hot one day and not the next. So it's hard to find a bull that's long lasting. Obviously, Cowboy Tough's been here forever and will continue make his mark. So we've moved forward with Eagle Texa. Now he's not with us anymore, but we've collected him. We're using him, and majority of my herd is he's in there somewhere.
Girls, do you have kind of a favorite out in your pasture that you want to tell me about, each of you?
Well, since we were little, our favorite bull, he wasn't the biggest bull we've ever had, but I don't know why he was our favorite. His name was Scorpion, and he's been our favorite since we were little.
He did win the Bull Alley Horn Showcase. So.
Yeah. What about you, Taryn? Do you have a different favorite, or do you agree with Emma?
Yeah, I agree with Emma, but right now my favorite, because he died, and my favorite right now might be my calf. I haven't named him yet, but he's super pretty.
Are you halter breaking him, or are you just kind of making him tame and be a pet, or what makes him your calf?
Well, my cow had him a couple days ago, and we just use them. Like, if they get bad, then they turn into meat. So.
So you say your cow. Do you and Emma own some of the cows within the herd? Are they kind of yours to be responsible for?
Yeah, so me and Emma both own a cow. Emma's didn't get bred because she just didn't get bred by him, and she was too young. And my cow got bred, and she had the calf, and yeah.
Why don't you explain what you're going through?
Right now, I'm trying to make a deal with a guy that's trying to buy my heifer. She has a good horn set. She's already twisting, and she's only 2, and she's really speckled. She's out of Kingsford, and he has lots of calves that are speckled, and she's brindling. So
They're working through a process right now that I think a lot of people have access to. It's through the FSA office, the Farm Service Agency, something they got to deal with all the time on the farm. And you can do youth loans, and so we looked into that, and they can borrow up to $5,000 and work through a whole process. They got to have an advisor, and so they're in the middle of that. We're just waiting on a brand because they have to have their own brand, but so that's been a fun process to watch these 2 girls and see how they're going to handle that. And Emma has purchased a couple cows now, and I think we just got a deal done last night with one of our fellow breeders out in Michigan. So
Nice. Was it kind of scary the first time you had to get on the phone or get on email and kind of talk to them and try to give them a sales pitch about your animal?
Well, yeah, kind of, but it's most likely they're gonna say yes if they have, if they're getting offered some money, and if they're pretty good cows, then maybe they would want it to get hired, hire more. So then, and you're kind of scared, just because so they don't let you down. If they say no, I don't want to sell this cow. And if they say, oh no, I'm okay, I have too many cows. I need to work on selling some. But yeah, it's kind of scary if they say no or something.
So is your new brand or kind of your new company, is it both of you together as sisters, or do you each have your own one?
Yeah, we both are doing it together, and it's kind of exciting because you get to start a new herd and stuff.
What's it called? Can you tell everyone the name?
We don't have a name yet.
Oh, man. What do you have any that you're like voting on or considering that you can share?
Well, we don't agree very well. Like the brand was hard to do. It's like a winky eye type thing.
Okay.
And we just wanted it to be kind of like our dad's. It's like two triangles and a smile, but ours is a heart and then like I don't know what that's called. What is it called? The little
Dash.
a dash and a heart and with a smile, so it looks like it's winking.
Okay. Nice.
These
Well, let's,
these Longhorns got to be marketable. So we have a 4 generation old brand, but it's doesn't mean anything to anybody else. So that's why I got a new brand just for marketing, and we're kind of following the same suit with the girls. It's similar, but they won't let us have two similar brands.
well, let's talk a little bit about not just your brand, but about your ranch in general. How did you come up with Lodge Creek? What's the meaning behind that?
So we ended up moving to we bought a new place, and it has Lodge Creek running right through it. And I've never had the opportunity to have much for livestock, but this place it's big acreage, and it's got 28 ponds and reservoirs on it. It's got a creek run through the middle of it, cuts us in half diagonally. So it's perfect for cows. So that's kind of what really expanded our Longhorn herd, is when we were able to do that. And then just the whole marketing side of it. That's where it's at in Longhorns.
And you have some experience with that through your other business, that you have a family owned business. Is that right?
So yeah, we're like I said, we're 4th generation. We sell Case IH, New Holland, Case Construction, and myriad of short lines. It's expanded rather quickly on us. 2001, that's when we started buying dealerships, and I think we're up to 14, and probably not stopping anytime soon. It's just a different way of business anymore. It's a fast and furious. You're either growing or you're dying. So it's something that we enjoy it. We've been in it for a long time, and we want to continue in the ag world. We're dealing with the best people in the world. So yeah, I'm not in it day to day. This farm is what I do daily. But yeah, it's been I spent 13 years running the sales department inside the dealerships. So it was a learning experience. It's helped me a lot in the Longhorn world. And the everything's global anymore. It doesn't matter if somebody's got Longhorns in Maine or Washington. It's pretty easy to get them moved and transported around, and it's you can't get away with anything either, because the internet tells all.
Well, before we shift gears and kind of talk about your program looking forward to the future, is there anything else about the history of your ranch or your program that you want to share?
It's been an interesting ride with Longhorns. It started as I wanted a couple just for nostalgia reasons, and then I got bit like everybody does, and it's led to a lot of new friends, a lot of great friends, just new people in general. I've actually ended up selling a number of people equipment because they do the same thing I do. So it's formed a lot of great relationships. Longhorns are an addiction, unfortunately, and I love the energy, because it seems like I get a fair few calls from new people, and it's like I said, we're growing, so I don't have anything for sale really, but watching the energy of some of these new people come in, it's a positive thing for Longhorns. We've had a lot of change in Longhorns in the last few years, and so it's nice to see some new people coming in.
I know a while back when I think we both used to travel a little bit more, I'd see you at some of the events and stuff. Horn Showcase, I think you mentioned, Scorpion had one there one year and stuff. I know there's not a lot of events out your way, but is there any that you're like, yeah, we go to this all the time, or that you're looking forward to going to?
So I have 2 older daughters, and they were involved in everything. So it made it rather hard to travel much for anything other than sports and kids stuff. And now I got these two that are getting to the same age, so it's been tough. The Horn Showcase was, I have partners on my bulls, so try to get them out of this weather, get them down to Texas. And so they spend the winter at Gary Becker's and Gary Bowden's down there. So Horn Showcase it just fit. And October was a good month for us, so we made that work. And it looks like Horn Showcase is back on its feet and doing well, so we'll start doing that again. But other than that, just chasing kids. And then farming is pretty non-conducive to some of these, March through September sales. We just can't get away.
Yeah. Have you girls ever been to a Longhorn event before?
Yeah, we would come to them with our parents to Texas like once a year for Horn Showcase. And like there will be like these trophy type things, and me and Taryn took pictures with them once, and I've seen the pictures. I don't really remember it quite well because I was little.
Yeah. Were they maybe bronzes of like some really famous cows and bulls?
Yeah.
No. It's pretty cool. You guys got to take some of those home, huh?
Yeah. There's this guitar in here too.
Yeah, I remember the guitar year.
Yeah, and we it's been up in our kitchen in the dining room in our old house and in this office now.
Nice. Well, let's talk about the future a little bit. What do the next 5 years of your program look like?
There's going to be some big changes, I think, in the Longhorn industry also. As far as us specifically, we're just going to build a new barn. We've got to get them out of the winter. And thanks to Jim Steffler, the late Jim Steffler, the mad scientist of Longhorns, we argued over a bull, and it was Eagle Texa, and he's changed my program completely. So we're moving forward with that and going to continue. I think Emma brought it up earlier, but I love twist. I want to see twist continue in the breed, and we're going after more twist and hopefully not give up too much lateral horn. Eagles definitely giving us some twist, but we want more. So we've got a couple young bulls coming. I probably like a lot of people overbought on bulls, but hopefully one or two of them turn out. And we're going to move forward, with a lot of line bred eagle stuff, and then some outcrosses with Rural Bliss and Silver Dollar and Juicy Jack. That all three of them have a ton of twist in their genetics. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun for these girls. They have their own cows now, and they get to make their decisions on bulls, and hopefully we can raise a couple too.
Have you girls had to set any goals like through the program your dad mentioned, or just on your own? Do you kind of have any dreams of where you want your program 5 years from now?
Yeah, so in the paperwork for our loan, we have to set like it does have goals in it, like where we want to go to see if we can make money for and since it caught the Longhorns go for so much, it will be easier to pay off our loan quickly. So me and Taryn, I don't think it will take us the whole 7 years to pay off the loan. I think we might want to expand our cows that we have. And Taryn was talking about her that she wants to pay off the loan quickly so she can buy more cows.
That's awesome. Do you have anything to add, Taryn? No?
The one thing I will say, getting started in Longhorns, it's such a variety of whether it's ranchettes to some pretty large ranches out there. My number one goal was raise a 90-inch cow. I'm not buying a 90-inch cow until I raise one. And I finally got that done last year. And it seems like now all of a sudden we're kind of getting covered up with 90-inch cows. And I got a bull hits 90-inch also. So that's one of the fun things with Longhorns is there's a lot of variety, and it's not, we don't depend on this to, it's not a main staple of our financial side of things. So it's something that we can kind of pick and choose and have fun as a family, and hopefully move forward with probably two separate herds by the sounds of it.
So who is your cow that made it to 90 last year?
TFP Dusted Lace, and she's I've passed some pretty good offers on her, and she's going to stay here for life, and she'll be in our living room. She won't quit giving me heifers, so I don't know how I ever get rid of her. I think she's had 5 out of 7, 5 out of 8 she's given us heifers. So we got another one this year. Doesn't matter what bull I put on her, she just gives us a heifer. So
nice.
We're going to move forward with her. And then she actually doesn't have any eagle in her. So it's been fun to, every eagle bull I put on her, she gives us another heifer.
Nice. And Emma, earlier you mentioned that you really like the corkscrew twist or the triple twist. Do you have a cow in your dad's herd that is kind of your favorite twist cow?
Dusted Lace. Taryn's cow is out of Dusted Lace, and every cow our dad has out of Dusted Lace has twists. We don't quite have a triple twist, but I've seen people that our dad knows that have some pretty cool ones with really twisty horns.
Nice. Maybe that could be another goal to add to your checklist, right? Maybe you could breed a triple twist horned cow.
Mm-hmm. We're going to.
We might have to get back on this. You have to be so patient with those. I feel like we'd all be a lot older if we regrouped on the podcast by the time that happened.
Yeah, that's Longhorns is patience.
Love what you're hearing? Be sure to check out our Pickup Truck Confessions. It's a video series where we hop in the truck or rental car and interview a variety of breeders about what drives their passion for their livestock, how they got started in the breed of their choice, marketing tips, and more. And now, back to the podcast.
Well, what's a piece of advice that you would give breeders? Let's start with breeders who are in states such as yours with challenging weather, a long distance from the events. What's some advice you would give folks that are thinking of getting started in those outlying states?
Well, number one, you have to be passionate about it. If you're getting in it for a weekend thing, it's not going to work out well. Longhorns they're incredibly smart. They're incredibly athletic. However you treat them, they'll treat you. So we don't try. We are really good to our Longhorns, and they don't give us problems. The number one thing, I get these calls fairly often, is just do your homework on the internet. The World Wide Web has a ton of information on it, and unfortunately, and I'm no different. I jumped in and got some Longhorns I probably shouldn't have. And once you do your homework and you figure out what you want and what horn shape, what genetics, it just shaves years off your program. So it's that probably, if there was one thing, just do your homework and talk to lots of people. And the majority of Longhorn breeders out there are good, honest people, and they stick out in a hurry. If they've been in it a long time, got a good reputation. Talk to as many as you can, and figure out what you want to do and what road you want to go down before you pull the trigger.
What about you girls? Do you have any advice for maybe some young up-and-comers thinking about getting started with their own herd?
It helped us that our dad was in Longhorns before we started doing it. So knowing people that could help you start it and help you throughout the way that you're going. And lots of people that our dad knows have helped us get good deals on cows or like for good deals because we're so young and just starting off. There's one girl that gave us a heifer for free and doesn't want to give us to give her any money for it. She's been really nice and helped us get started on that.
They're
That's
going to
awesome.
go down and do a weekend of work for her, though. So shout out to Sherry Oaks on there at Mooseville Longhorns. She's been great. It's really nice to work with other breeders too. I mean,
Mhm.
especially when you get up here with just miles. I mean, there's it's still 5 hours to her place, but a lot of places we could cover 2 states in 5 hours. But it's just big country up here. So yeah, there's just a ton of good people, great people in Longhorns, and yeah, I really appreciate those breeders out there that have not only helped them, but that helped me get going.
Well, let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's hear your funniest Longhorn story that you can share.
Well, I'll go first. I don't think Emma was 5. I think she was more like 2 or 3. But that little cow that flipped her upside down, it actually cartwheeled her, and she nearly landed on her feet and kept going. She barely fell down. But I had to quit laughing to go over there to save her, but it actually was pretty funny. The other, not really Longhorn thing, but the local fair, it's a pretty big fair. We used to run our Longhorns through Havre, and they'd run them into the arena. And I didn't know what I was doing with these poor girls because they were 5 and 6 then, but they entered the bull riding, the mini bull riding.
Not just mutton
And
busting, like the actual
no,
bull riding.
no, these are the real little miniature bulls,
Oh,
and
wow.
I got talked into it, and the the probably the I had no idea what I was getting them into. But anyway, the bull that Taryn drew was supposed to be a pretty tame bull. Well, this thing was not tame. When he come out of the chute, he went all the way across the arena, and she stuck him. And she's never been on a bull in her life. But it's pretty big arena there, and yeah, I don't think there wasn't anybody sitting down, and they actually had to catch that bull to pull her off. She would not jump off.
Were you scared, Taryn?
No,
No.
I didn't know what was happening though. But when he was running, I got so much dirt out of my mouth. I was just trying to focus getting the dirt out of my mouth.
What was your hold tactic? Was it just your legs? Did you bear hug him? How did you choose to stay on?
Well, they were telling me to put my hand up. I did not. I was holding on for dear life with both my hands, and I was holding on with my legs, and and I was just smiling when I was running, when it was running, and
Yeah, as a parent, I was scared to death because I thought when they finally pulled her off, I was going to see a lot of tears, and they caught her in the middle of the arena, and they pulled her face mask up, and she had the biggest grin on her face. And she high-fived him, and she's a little vertically challenged. She looks tall right now, but she's standing up, so she's a little vertically challenged. And the topper of it was she didn't know what checks were, but the announcer, she won, and the announcer handed her the check and put the mic down for her, and she looked up at him and said, I thought we won money." So yeah, it was the Longhorns have brought us to a lot of different places in the world, and it's been a fun and great ride.
Well, let's do a little quiz here. I'm not sure, girls. I'm not sure if you'll want to participate in this one or not. But if you had to name dead or alive any ranch, if you had to pick one Longhorn cow that's your favorite, who would it be and why?
I'm gonna be a little biased. I'm gonna pick mine. My dusted lace cow is I just to come from nothing and get to 90 inches is there's not you hear about 90-inch and 100-inch cows all over the place, but when you look at the amount of cows out there, 90 inches is still something to be proud of. So there are some cows out there that Texana Van Horn was what drew me to Eagle Texa. So we have a lot of her in our herd. But no, we all have goals, and now we got to go to 100, and I'm sure there's going to be some lineage of both of those in a 100-inch twisty horn cow. That's the plan anyway.
So do you have an all-time favorite Longhorn bull?
I'm probably biased because I'm out here from the West, but I don't have a lot of top caliber. But when you look at the breed, top caliber left a mark that I don't think gets talked about enough. Amaro Cha-Ching is still the biggest cow, and she's old. And that you look at what top caliber did for our industry. Obviously, Tough is there, no brainer there. But you back up 10 years, and top caliber was really something.
And he spent a lot of his, or at least a third of his year, most times, in close to your part of the country in Wyoming, right?
Yeah, down at Brett's. Brett, what a great guy, salt of earth guy there. Love Brett to death. He's that's where he ended too. So I guess it's a little bit fitting. Owen McGill obviously left a huge stamp on the Longhorn industry. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's probably. I try not to go. I don't want to get too stuck in a rut. Focused on one or two animals. So it's a never-changing world with Longhorns.
Well, let's talk about websites and the internet and marketing for a little bit. So girls, you call your dad out here if he's not telling the truth, okay? How many hours a week do you think he spends looking at Longhorn websites on his phone or on his computer?
Too many. It's addicting. It's what I do every night.
Okay, I can tell you. 10 hours out of 24 hours a day.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. Are you sure? He might win the prize if that's the case.
Hired hand has changed Longhorns, in my opinion. We're spoiled because hired hand, you look at website after website after website, and they're all similar, and it makes things rather easy for pedigree searches, and it unfortunately it makes it more addicting. So I spend too much time, probably an hour a day at least, looking at Longhorns of some sort.
Do you girls ever get on there and look at any? Do you kind of have a wish list you create of ones you want to buy, or?
Yeah.
This is where I get to call them out.
So I kind of have an addiction. Anytime I'm looking for a cow to buy, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I want to buy that one. I want to buy that one. That one. Ooh, what about that one? And my dad's like, do you really like this one? I'm like, maybe there's another one. And then he always is like, you sure about this? Because anytime I see one, it's just, yeah, I always want one.
It sounds like we need to set you up with an account for Hired Hand Live, and we just won't tell your dad.
No.
No? What about you, Emma?
Well, I know those two. Taryn hasn't had a cow. Her buying one from the loan, and they spend like 2 hours looking at a magazine marking Taryn has a heart. If she's like, I'm definitely sure about that one. And then she'll have a star for a maybe. And you just look through the page and there's like one every page. Once she did it by herself and there was like every single one on a page marked.
We get the auction catalogs in the mail, and the first thing that happens is we have to go through it. So I think Taryn finally twisted Mark Hubble's arm enough that I think she's finally done buying. So we do get to make a trip out to Michigan, and I haven't hit the Midwest for Longhorns, so that'll be interesting. So Taryn can quit wasting her time on the computer.
So was that one you found in a sale catalog or on the internet, Taryn?
On the so we were looking at like sales like a little while ago, and I found this one cow and I really liked her, and then my dad was friends with him, and so then we found out that we can go get her.
She has expensive taste, Molly.
And then and then I still had a couple more, some more money I could spend, and so then I was looking in a book to see, and then my dad was like, "Oh, I like this one," and then it was a sister to this other one and then so then I wanted the sister, and then I still could spend a little more, and then we found this really cheap one, and I really like her, so we just it was a mix of everything.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, all those bids you've been seeing on Hired Hand, those weren't mine, Molly.
Well, you just hop on there anytime, Taryn.
They know how to swipe right rather well.
Do you enjoy watching the auctions? Do you like watching them come into the ring and see what they go for and everything?
I want to see how high they go for, so
if they're cheap, me and Taryn are definitely telling our dad, "Can you buy it? Can you buy it?" And then actually one I wasn't even planning on buying, my dad, I owe him $300. And
She's got to work it off this summer.
You're in the hole, huh?
yeah, but he convinced me on buying it. And if you know, like Longhorn calves, if they're red and white, but the end of the tail is black, that means they're gonna get really dark. And her calf was like that, and she's Parker Brown too.
Nice.
And she's really pretty, and I'm glad we got her. And then the other one, my dad said he was actually going to split with me. And if I let him have a calf out of her, then I get her full.
Molly, we've had all sorts of negotiations over here.
It sounds like it. It sounds like I'm impressed, though. I'm impressed, girls, for sure.
Yeah, the one that's Parker Brown, her calf, she was sick the first couple days, and she had to go to the vet, but it was crazy because the vet wasn't there, and they're like, "We need to fix this," and then yeah, she had the squirts.
Yeah.
So do you girls help your dad with any of like the social media marketing and stuff? Do you have him signed up for TikTok so he can be out there doing some dances in front of the cows? Or
Molly, we don't need to talk about phones. They don't have phones, and they're not going to have phones for a while. I think social media has almost ruined this world. So
good call.
They don't have phones. The social media I've done a poor job at. I have a little bit of an excuse because I have nothing to sell. So yeah, I'm going to have to ramp it up at some point. Instagram is probably a go-to for me and Longhorns, and it's nice to see some of these Longhorn breeders kind of moving over to Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is I try to stay off of there. It's just you start scrolling and it's just endless. So I do stay abreast of the Longhorn world through Facebook, both good and bad, unfortunately. But no, Facebook and Instagram are probably what we deal with 99%.
Are either of you girls the professional photographer for Instagram, or is it all three of you, or is it your dad?
Emma takes lots of pictures of like stuff. Like anytime someone wants to take a picture, she's in for it.
Nice.
And she doesn't like being in the pictures.
She just likes taking them, huh?
Yeah.
I hear ya. Well, I really appreciate you three taking the time to join me today. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share? Any stories or advice or anything you want to cover that we haven't covered?
You girls good?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time, Molly. Hired hand has changed the industry. It's made long new breeders. It's so much easier for a new breeder to start understanding pedigrees. And as far as your simulator, we use the heck out of that. Sometimes, some people are more visionary and some people aren't. So it's good for me to put it up on the screen and go, oh, that's not going to work. So there's a lot of things that we use in hired hand, and there's a lot of things we don't use that we need to get better at. But I think that in itself, you guys, I know you don't want to get a pat on the back, but we appreciate what hired hand's done.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And I have a feeling if we circle back here in 5, 6, maybe not even that long, your girls will be a powerhouse in the industry. Seems like they're doing well. So I wish you the best of luck, girls.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Molly.